The Tales of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank, underneath the roots of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father has an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along, and don't get into mischief. I'm going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 Korean buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeaked under the gate. First, he ate some radishes and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes, and then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the edge of cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees, panting over young cabbages. And he jumped up and ran after Peter, gave a rag and called out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He lunged all over the garden, for the head forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoes amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have get away alone altogether if he has not unfortunately launched into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons of his jacket. This was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost, and changed big tears. His sobs were overheard by some friendly parrots, who flew to him in a great excitement, and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him, and lunged into the tool sheds and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in, if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Suddenly Peter sneezed. "What is cool?" Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, sitting 3 planks. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright. He had not the least idea which way to go, although he was very damped with sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wander about, going rippity, very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze under the nails. The old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry, and he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. He sat very still, now and then lift up her tail to twist if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed. Suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a horse. Chris scratch, scratch, scratch. Peter scattered underneath bushes. But peacefully, as nothing happened, he came out, climbed upon the barrel and peeped over. First thing he saw was Mr. McGregor holding onions. His back was turned towards Peter. Beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the real jacket and the shoes. All scarecrowed to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice of sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. This was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in the first night. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. She gave a dose of it to Peter, 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cordell had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end.